tear the family and community apart.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. But that
really
see. But wait a minute.
Always about money.
Wait a second. That's something, that the people who still want to subscribe themselves to that, they will have to figure that aspect out. But what we do know, and we will accept, right, is that they talk and dialogue and discuss, because otherwise we won't be able to get very far with them. They have to be willing to come out and dialogue and talk. Specifically, what was his mission to the United States? Why do you say he came here? What substantiate the claim that you're making or that he made in coming to the United States? Because look, he was kicked out, or he ran to Pakistan and he could not come back to the United States. Okay? So, is that what you would want for your family? Would you like for your family not to be able to come to the United States specifically because of what he did? Because that is something else that, one of the brothers that I spoke to recently said to me. He said that, he was on the no-fly list because of things that he did do. So is that an example that you would like for you or your children? And when you say he's a spiritual leader, I mean, you can only be calling Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam, who's Allah Ta'ala refers to him as a spirit in the Quran, right? And we know he's a leader of the angels. So yeah, we also know Iblis. Do you know anybody else? You understand? Like, you gotta understand, you really have to come to terms about these, these assigned or honorary terms that people.
Now that you mention that, just to add something to that real fast. We all know that he claimed that he was like, in layman terms, simple terms, he was something of a magician. Because, and everybody in the Jamaat knows, and people who know the surroundings of his practice and whatever he claimed he had, control over, was the control of the jinns. He could take them, he performed exorcisms and all of these. And a lot.
Say that again, you're breaking up.
That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only gave power, but the jinns to power. Yeah, right. And Prophet Sulaiman, Prophet Sulaiman was the only man Allah gave that kind of power to. And I believe it ended with him as well. No other man was, controlled the jinns to that extent. And I think that, that he claimed to have that kind of power, the power that only Allah gave to Prophet Sulaiman. That's another thing that people don't understand. If you look in the Quran, Allah only really gave that to him. And magic period is like forbidden in Quran. If you look in Surah I believe it's Surah Kahf, or is one of the surahs, you probably would be able to correct me on this, the story of Harut and Marut, the two angels that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down to teach the people, He really tested them with the magic. But, to my understanding, what the story was, that if these angels came down to the people of old and told them that we've been sent by Allah to as a test for you, but to give you something, if you take this, then you will forfeit a lot of what is in the afterlife, but you will gain control over the magics, or so, that is not really meant for you, but we will give it to you as a test.
See, you know what Mufti Saab said pertaining to Mubarak Jilani, because I showed him a clip of Mubarak Jilani in the Surah Ra'd when he's trying to explain the Quran. You know what he said?
Right.
The blind leading the blind. He said, in the land of the blind.
Most definitely.
in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So, you want to continue on with it. Just keep being blind. You want to keep being blinded by it, do it.
Another thing that I learned early on was that another hadith that I remember hearing growing up was that in the times of signs of the last days would be the very unqualified people, you know what I'm saying, like the dumb, you know, the deaf, dumb, and blind or whatever would be leading the masses. People most unqualified to lead would be in the highest positions, leading the people. And that's what you can see, not even just in TMOA.
Well, I mean, I talked to
all over the world.
Well, I mean, of course, I talked to because I was trying to get feedback on the issues. So I talked to one of the, you know, prominent khatibs or imams, and I asked him. I said, "What do you think the issues are?" He said, "The issue? No one cares about who gives the khutbah. No one cares about what they're listening to in the khutbah. The one giving the khutbah cannot even say his name correctly in Arabic." I mean, look at how, I mean, so does it get, so under those circumstances, then yeah, light skin, where you believe, you don't really know the Banu Hashim tribe, like dark skin, like the tribe of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Come to find out, dark skin, real dark skin. But anyway, just because he was a light-skinned man with straight hair, you believed him. You believed him. You really did believe him. But he was a psychology major. You know, he had his trick. He came along with his bag of treats. He came with it. But here's one thing that people, a lot of people, especially you younger generation, do not know. When he came to the United States and was first sworn in as the, you know, Jama'atu Fukri Imam, or, you know, Sultan of Fukri or whatever, he claimed to be able to give people whatever they wanted. He said he made them believe that he could even take them to Jannah temporarily. Brother, there's the brother who gave me his book, the book that we talked about, the Futuh Muhammadiyah, the brother who gave that to me is the one telling me this story. He said that I was in Ittikaf, and I was told, you know, Sheikh Jilani's here, you know, you need to come out and meet him, you know. And he said, well, I'm in Ittikaf, so I'm sticking right here to the masjid. They're like, no, it's okay. You know, he's really close to Allah, and, you know, you just come out, just don't talk to anybody else. That's the only reason why you're coming. So it should be okay. So to make a long story short, he said he came and they sat him down. Somebody else was in the room or whatever with him. So, you know, he already had in his mind, he already had it set in his mind what he was going to ask him. He says because what they did is they let people believe that he could get them whatever they wanted. Whatever they wanted, he could do it. So, you know, he said when I already had in my mind what I was going to ask of him to do. He said, so when he got in there, he sat down, and, you know, Sheikh looked at him and said, the Sheikh Jilani looked at him and said, what is it that you want? Okay? Mm-hmm. And he said, I want you to make me a wali of Allah. And then he said to him, no problem. So then he gave him that dhikr. The dhikr, what is it? Huwa al-hayyu, huwa al-haqqu, la ilaha illa hu. Something around that line. You know, who lays, you know, that similar.
Laysa al-hadi haqq al-hu. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Say it again. Laysa al-hadi illa hu.
Anta al-hadi, anta al-haqq, laysa al-hadi illa hu. La ilaha illa anta. Something like that.
Well, okay. He said to him, okay. He said when he got up and left, that's when he knew that he was a fraud. That's when he knew he was a fraud.
Right.
Because Allah Ta'ala, listen. See, listen in. We African Americans, we into that superstitious stuff. We like this, you know, these high stake, hallucinations, or high stake, mystical stuff like that. You know, we believe that we are the chosen people, and somebody is about, you know, somebody's been sent to save us because we've been, you know, so deprived all these decades, right?
So misled.
So misled and all this stuff, right? So when somebody comes with a psychology degree, they've come with their background in traditional, like I'm talking about, you know, Asian traditional Islam, that type of Islam. In other words, a lot of us, we didn't even, especially back then, a lot of people, could not really read the Quran. Today, a lot of people can't read the Quran, never mind back then. You understand what I'm saying? So,
no, but what I had heard, just to insert something real quick, a lot of the people who were in the Dar movement, you know, prior to Mubarak Jalani coming, a lot of them already had knowledge of the Quran. A lot of them were learning to read. They just wanted, even in my family, my grandfather, he knew how to read Quran, but they were struggling to find a teacher for them. And that's why I think when Mubarak Jalani came, he was so willing to teach them. From what I heard, is why they all accepted him so readily.
Well, what was, you know, I hear different stories about that. So I don't want to get into, you know, how your grandfather felt compared to how other people felt. But what this man told me was that he told him he can make him of a wali of Allah. Now here's a problem. Nobody can make anybody a wali of Allah other than Allah. Only Allah knows who his wali is. He already chose him. He already chose his wali. He doesn't need you or me or anybody else, right, making decisions for him or changing his decree for him. We don't have that right. So that's how he knew that this man had to be a fraud. Now, if he told him like this dhikr, you know, use it and by Allah accepts it, you understand? I'll make dua that you become it. He can tell I'll make dua for you. You know what I'm saying? We can say that, but we can't say if you do this, you'll become a friend of Allah. Astaghfirullah. You see what I'm saying? When he told me that he already had in his mind, right? You see what I'm saying? When he said he had in his mind as to what to ask, I thought he was going to say to him, I want you to read my mind. I want you to read my mind so you can teach me how to read minds. That's what I thought he was going to say, but that's not what he said. You know? So again, if you had law enforcement able to keep him out of the country because of his own deeds, you had people like this brother who gave me the book, who from day one says that this guy's a fraud. Then you had people who actually left after they found out that it was a fraud. Then you had people who got kicked out for all these different reasons, whether it was for speaking up, whether it was for, putting their kids in public school, whether it was for, switching, whatever the case, whether they thought they were rats, you're talking to the feds, you got kicked out, right? Then you have some learned people actually have spoken up. Some people like myself have spoken up, who have been around it, who have families in it, have spoken up, right? All these categories of people, everything that they are saying is wrong, but your Jamaat is right. You know, that really, and then, come to find out, actually, with all these different response that you get, people are not really, you have some hardcore, die-hard people in there, but you also have people who really, again, are just following blindly. They just followers, man. All they know is when to come party. They're just waiting for the call to come party. You know, they just want to come and just enjoy the show. It's a show, the whole thing. It's been a show when these khatib getting on the member. I've been saying that it's been a show then, But yeah, I think so. That's what that's what so those are the three people that I had a chance to speak to. And by the way, well, the fourth person, I did have a fourth person, but they called me. These are the people that I reached out to, but the fourth person called me. But what I'm saying to you is, the same thing for the youth, mainly, the sisters, the girlsy, the aunties, the nieces, and just really get a feel, just really understand. It's not even about, trying to prove anything. It's not even about that. It's just about the mindset. Can we really think about discussing these concerns? Can we think about discussing these issues, in a civil and a professional manner? Can we trust that you will actually be trustworthy and sincere and think these issues through, because these are very legitimate issues. That's really what it's about. Let's have a conversation about this,
Mm-hmm.
Well, inshallah, I think that's, that's practically that. So.
This is good feedback for the morning, you know what I'm saying? These new things we're expounding on. The more we talk about it, I feel like we're more concise in what we should be asking of the people to, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And you have to be ready to just, you have to be, it's kind of like jogging or anything else that you're doing. You really have to have the stamina to do it. You have to have the stamina to keep up with the conversation, You have to have the stamina to even give to even give a good conversation. So, we have to have a good understanding of what the point is, The point is, these models, whether it's the ICR, ICVA, MCC, these Indo-Pakistani immigrant models that they're putting up these centers for people to come settle and make a greater, comfortable life for themselves. This is not Islam. Neither is this, Sikh Sultani Mubarak Ilani stuff that is clearly refuted by the Quran. Okay? If we can talk civilly about it, فَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدُ وَالْخَيْرُ وَالنِّعْمَةِ, and we can expect and trust you to use your critical mind sincerely, that's fine. Otherwise, you want to reject the Quran, that's between you and Allah Jalla Jalaluh. This is not our, this is not our mission, it is not our concern. Our concern is to convey the message clearly to you. Understand? And that's practically it. We don't need, you understand, to have any sins added up against us by anything that we do to anyone anyway. You understand? We have a responsibility, and we are living up to that responsibility, which is the mission of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You have the Quran. What you understand? So what is it that you have better than that? What is it that you have given yourself better than the Quran and the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Just think about it. But alhamdulillah, man, that's a good one. That's a very important point. So we're going to keep, inshallah, working on the situation. Allied coalition forces, for sure. Inshallah.
Inshallah.